make a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.
UFC flyweight contender Cynthia Calvillo. Been about 2 months since the biggest win of your career. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good, but I'm already like itching to like get back in there, you know. So it's been good, but it's just, so difficult. It's still, we're still dealing with the coronavirus. So yeah, I'm just trying to take it day by day and see what happens. Hopefully I get something lined up soon.
Did you get right back into training, or did you take a break after your fight? Did you have some injuries? What was going on?
Yeah, so I did train a little bit, but I had some nagging injuries, which I'm taking care of right now. And now I'm probably gonna head to Vegas to go do some like physical therapy and rehab, and hopefully I should be good to go for a fight in October or November.
Okay, so October, I'm hearing that Fight Island's gonna be popping again during that month. Maybe that's the spot.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, it's such a crazy time, and to fight during this time, it's like it's a part of history right now. We're always gonna remember these times. So it's like I want to go fight in Fight Island. Yeah, I already fought through COVID. I had one of the biggest wins of my career, and so I definitely want to go travel to Abu Dhabi. I've never been there, so that would be great. I mean, to be honest, though, like I probably wouldn't want to deal with the whole traveling, the quarantine, doing all that stuff. It just sounds cool to kind of say it. And obviously, I would think that it would be easier for me to fight in Las Vegas. But I mean, come on, we're fighters, so we're going to deal with adversity. We're going to have to deal with a little bit more things that we don't want to. But, I think it'll be worth it.
Yeah, I was talking to another fighter, actually a coach, and he was in Abu Dhabi at the time, and he said, "Man, it's something that you're gonna experience that probably will never happen again, and it'll be on like 30 for 30 ESPN. You could be on that. You know what I mean? Why would you miss that opportunity?"
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this is, one of the first times ever. I mean, I don't think can't remember of another time we're going through a pandemic like this, at least, in my time being alive. I just, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. Sometimes you can be scared and not go out there, but that's the whole thing about fighting too. It's the same thing. It's like, we risk it. We go out there to maybe get beat up or not. And so we got to either jump at it, the opportunity, or we can sit there and regret it. So, same thing, when I took that opportunity, I was like, man, this isn't our normal training situation. I'm over here asking for the number one contender. Who knows what's going to happen, but you have to take those opportunities. So, yeah, I would love to. As far as, from what I see, everybody else going through the quarantine, such a hassle. They're locked up. Some people are complaining. Other people are, they're okay with to deal with it. So, yeah, I think it's a lot worth it to be a part of history.
What is your paranoid level at with the COVID-19? Because the last time we spoke, it was like 2 months before you actually fought, and now there's fighters just testing positive left and right. Coaches also. So, are you really worried going into the gym, or even going to events, or even going to Vegas?
Well, to be honest, already got tested a couple times. I've tested negative every single time. Knock on wood, I've been good, but I've also been around people who actually had it and were positive at the time that didn't know they had it, but I was around them, you know what I mean? And I didn't get it. So, it's just difficult because I think at one point or another, I mean, it's gotten to a point where either you've been exposed to it. I mean, at this point, I just feel like, especially if you're gonna go to those stores, Costco, wherever, it's just, you're gonna come across it. So, I feel like the uncertainty is always gonna be like fearful, and it's like controlling, and so it's like we didn't know about it too much. We know a little bit more, but it's obviously still an issue. So, I'm not as scared as I was before. But obviously, you still want to be careful in the sense that, like, even though I might have a strong immune system, I don't want to have to carry it or, put somebody else at risk. So there's that whole thing of trying to be careful. So I just try to be mindful about who I am around, but I also feel like I'm strong enough to deal with it because, like I said, I already been around people who had it at the time that I didn't know, you know. So, um, yeah, it's just you got to take care of people who definitely have other underlying problems. Although they did say that some people who were perfectly fine or didn't have any other health problems got it themselves, but and the chances are very small as far as we know right now. So, um, yeah, I'm not as scared as I was before, but definitely more mindful for sure.
Yeah, me personally, I was like OCD with this whole thing when it began. I just stayed home for like a month and just kept my family at home for a month. But now you're educated about it, and it's like, okay, you go out there, just protect yourself and be careful and stop, don't touch people too much outside, and that's about
Yeah,
it,
gotta
right? Just
practice good hygiene, you
yeah.
know. Because my friend was the same way. So one of my friends that are really close to, she was also the same way. As soon as it happened, she's like, "Oh, I'm locking myself in the house. I'm not going anywhere." She definitely didn't go anywhere. She was getting groceries delivered, blah blah. You know, she barely started having a little bit like flexibility of allowing seeing certain people, and then boom, she got it, and then she was just
Wow.
like, so she was fine. She just got sick. She quarantined herself, and she was one of the people that I was around. And I know that I was out and about more than she was because I was training, I was doing this, and she didn't have to go anywhere as far as as much as I did, and she got it, I didn't. So yeah, it just depends, man. Some people lock themselves up and they still get it. I feel like you're gonna come across it one way or another. It's just gonna happen.
Let's jump into your fight against Jessica I, Move on to something more positive, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of variables in that fight. There's so many to list, you know what I mean? Like, and entering the cage at a new division, fighting 5 rounds, main event, there's so much stuff going on. What differences did you feel in yourself fighting Jessica I?
um I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I was really scared, but I also trusted in myself that if there's one person that can rise through chaos, is me. Like I just gone through so many things that I'm durable. I am a strong person. You put me through hell, I will still survive. And so I feel like I showed that with the Marina Rodriguez fight, and I really do feel like I've a lot of respect for Jessica and stuff like that, but I did feel like Marina Rodriguez was definitely gonna be was the more like I would have been more worried about fighting Marina than Jessica during this time, in my opinion, I think. But she's you know, I don't know. It was a pretty crazy time. I know she was still training. She built this whole gym, and I just told myself, this is what you do. You're a fighter. You're gonna fight through adversity, and you have to take it. The time. This is the time for opportunity. If there is any great time for any fighter to take an opportunity, it is now. The opportunity is way bigger for you to get these fights that you never would have imagined you'd get, such as mine. I didn't think I was gonna move up to a flyweight division and then get the number one contender in main event. That's for damn sure. So like even other fighters who are not in the UFC, like a lot of fighters who are a little bit scared about fighting this pandemic, saying, "Oh well, there's no fights locally and stuff like that." But if you're a professional, you can get that call from the UFC within a week, 2 days. You never know it, but the opportunity is now. So, it's the time for us fighters to thrive through this chaos.
Yeah, I've seen a couple fighters. Actually, a couple fighters hit me up saying like, "Hey, I want to do an interview. I'm in Vegas right now." They're not even signed to the UFC. They flew there just to be there during this pandemic,
Yeah.
just to see if they could slide in, even during the Contender Series. Is that the smart thing to do?
Yeah, if you can do it, do it.
Mm.
It's not cheap. It is not, to be a fighter and to do this. And if you can somehow do an opportunity where you can put yourself in a position to go gamble where, the possibilities are a lot more easier, I would do it for sure. But I tell that to all my teammates that I have and stuff that, are not in the UFC yet, but are professionals, and they're waiting. I was like, you better stay ready. I was like, because you can get the call. And especially here in California, if they fight in Vegas and if they can fly you and there's no issues with getting you in and out, they're going to call and you better be ready. Because that's how I got it. I was in a pandemic, but they called me for 2 weeks notice. and I had to take it, and it took off from there. So you got to stay ready, and if you can do that, do it. Move to Vegas if you can right now, especially.
Yeah, yeah. What are the adjustments you have to make now? Since this was a new division, you did compete there. Jessica Kyle was pretty big, you know what I mean? She came down from bantamweight to flyweight. You were going up. What do you do in your next camp? What do you change?
um, I just got to get in the best shape that I possibly can. I got to get stronger. You know, obviously these girls are going to be pretty big at 125, but I think my size, it's a little bit deceiving because I think that I'm really strong for my size, and I'm used to training with guys that are 25, professional fighters that are 25ers. So it's like, and if I can train with them, I was like, I can handle the girls too. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I be able to? So that's why I feel like I'll be okay in the flyweight division. This just gives me the opportunity to just train really hard and not have the stresses of making that weight. Usually 3 or 4 weeks out, I'm like, cutting on the weight cut. I start feeling weaker. I'm smaller. My training partners can start pushing me around, messes with my confidence. So now I don't have to deal with that. I can feel the same way that I feel throughout my fight camp on fight week. And that's a big game changer because you, as a fighter, when you go into a fight, you want to leave no, stone unturned as far as the preparation, so that when you go in there and you fight, you better be mentally prepared because you did everything you could to possibly prepare for that. Now, if you had a rough weight cut, and then you're like, oh shoot, I'm gonna have to go do this fight, then maybe you're in the middle of that fight, it might give you that little bit of like, do you want to give up? Do I want to push a little bit harder? Do I not? Because how did I do? All those little doubts, all these things that you weren't able to, like, that might have been a factor that you struggle with. If I might seeping in during the fight. So, I think that was the biggest thing, the confidence in that. But I feel great. I think this is gonna be another opportunity. I feel like I'm coming in and do what I did as a strawweight division. I'm getting the second chance, but now I get to do it in the flyweight division. When I came into the strawweight, I just popped in and went to the scene. I was like, "Hey, what's up? I'm here." And all the girls were like, "What the hell?" Same thing here at the flyweight. I go into the flyweight, cut right in line, get to the top, and all the rest of the girls are like, "What the hell?" So here goes my second chance. Hopefully I do better at a flyweight, no missing weight,
Mhm.
and obviously I showed that I can push it, a 5 rounder. So, cardio is not going to be an issue.
Yeah, you definitely made a huge statement in that fight, you know what I mean? Especially going to the main event, 5 rounds, all 5 rounds, and you beat the number one girl in the division. Insane what you did in just that moment that you took, you know what I mean? And like you said, you gotta take those moments. And Jennifer Maia last weekend, she
I
took her
know.
moment, right? And
Yeah.
Joanne, she came in there, she had the title shot in line, and she took a risk, and Maya took that shine. In that position, would you have done the same? Would you have taken the risk?
I mean, man, it's just a real tough one because it was a little mistake. It was a little mistake that Joe made in her fight. I mean, honestly though, she was getting kind of tagged up standing too. She looked a little bit slower, and I know Maya was getting ready for a fight. Joanne was just staying ready. It wasn't that she wasn't ready, she was staying ready because she was waiting for Valentina. So it's not like, oh, I went into this fight and she was unprepared. So I feel like she thought she was like confident. I think that she felt like she was going to do good. I don't know if maybe she was burnt out because of just nonstop training because she was supposed to fight with Valentina in June, I believe, or something like that. And so, that can always be another factor. You can have a great 3 month camp and still lose, and you have a short camp and win. So, it's a tough one because I understand Joe that she wanted to stay busy. That's like one of the things that they asked me too. They're like, hey, if whatever fights, do you want to wait for the title next? Since you just be number two, if you do you want to do this? And I'm like, no, I want to stay busy. I want to stay busy, and sometimes you're gonna take that gamble to prove that you're at the top. Now, if you're really deserving to be at the top, she should have beat Jennifer Maia. I mean, so it sucks I think that, Joanne's always going to be one of the favorite ones. She's going to be fighting for a long time. And, she's definitely going to still get her shot. It's going to come. There's not that many of the girls there, and she's definitely a top level fighter that I believe is going to continue to stay up there. But I probably would have taken the same one. She should have just, man, it was just a well, I don't even know. I don't even know if I could say a mistake, because I believe Jennifer Maia is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, you know, as well. So I don't know how much that would have helped her in the ground either, because she's kind of getting tagged up. I don't know. It was a tough one. It was a tough one, but I think I would have done it still. I would have fought. It's hard to just sit there and just wait. It's really tough.
Especially if you're continuing to train and train and train, and there's that carrot dangling in front of you, right?
And you gotta get paid too.
Yeah.
You gotta make money. So it's like you can't just sit around. It's not like you're getting a monthly check just by sitting around for your turn. So, yeah, and you need to get better. You gotta have that feeling of that cage and just competing. So she'll come back. Plenty of people for Joanna fight. So it might put her step one or two back. So we'll see what happens.
I feel like the UFC, they don't really take too much away from her with that loss, because she did step in and on short notice and take the spot and fought. You know what I mean? It's just, you know how the UFC works. It's not like you need to be on like a 10-fight win streak to get a title shot anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, consider me my situation. Okay, I got a draw in my last fight. I missed weight 23 times, and then they gave me the number one contender, and I get a main event. So that in itself right there just tells you that, like, anything can happen, because shit, other people are like, how is she deserving to get that spot after what she just went through? What it doesn't matter what whether they see. That's the thing with the UFC. I think they do appreciate that you're down to fight or whatever. I feel like I'm giving these opportunities because I'm not a hard fighter to deal with. Like, I'm down to fight. I'm never saying no to anything. And Mick, I think the matchmaker, he appreciates that. So I feel like if you're good to the UFC, and if you're good, they're gonna give you opportunities. And Joanne's always, she's there. She lives in Vegas, and they love her. I mean, I think a lot of people love her. A lot of the fans. She's a fan favorite. So she's gonna keep getting opportunities. She's very deserving of them. She's down to fight. She's been, sacrificed a lot of years of her life for this sport already. So
Yeah, definitely agreed completely. Now Maya wins. Dana White comes out, says that she will be fighting Shevchenko next. Do you agree with that decision? That's the big question for you.
sure. I
Mhm.
mean, at this point, honestly, I'm not gonna get mad about anybody cutting the line in front of me, being that I just cut in front of everybody. So it's like, who am I to get mad when I just went from, like, number 10 as the strawweight to number 2 as a flyweight? So I'm not really concerned. I feel, because I'm still sitting up there, unless I'm inactive, then I'm gonna go back down in the rankings. God forbid if something else happens, right there, sit out. But I feel like I'm fine. I feel like there's plenty of people for me to fight to still put me there in line. If Maya wants her next, then she can have her. Whatever. I don't know when Valentina's gonna return, but I'm gonna fight whoever as soon as I'm cleared.
Well, it
Yeah.
seems like Shevchenko, she's ready to fight, because right when Maya won, she tweeted out like, she wants Maya next. So it could be happening soon. Who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows? She
Yeah.
might just be
I
tweeting some
think.
stuff out.
I mean, she's just saying that because obviously she was in line. She just beat the person who was supposed to be in line for the title, which is Joanne. So of course, that's where it goes. And then plus Maya did say, I want the title. So she did say that right after her win. So of course Valentina responded to that. I didn't say that. I didn't say, hey, yeah, hey, Valentina, I want you next. So, and then I'm not saying that I wouldn't take the opportunity, but I feel like that's just the reason why. So I mean, it's a given. If I was Joanne, somebody beat me, and then I would expect the person who beat me to be, next in line.
I was expecting the Nate Diaz, like for you to do the Nate Diaz call out
You're
to
gonna work for.
Shevchenko. Yeah.
was like, she just couldn't lie, and she just said, yeah. No, the funny part is because, so when I was originally gonna try to get a fight for flyweight, I was like looking at the roster and I was like, man, everybody is lined up. Who is there? And I was like, well, there's Jessica and then there's Jennifer Maia. I see that they don't have any fights, but I was like, man, Jennifer Maia, she's Brazilian. I don't know if they're gonna let her come in. I don't know when these fights are gonna be. I want to fight soon, so I'm gonna pick someone else. So Jessica, I gotta go with Jessica. So then that's how I got the fight with Jessica, and so I could have easily probably been like, after, Joanne, blah blah blah. Then I can see that. I can see how, just to put myself, which I can, but yeah, no, I feel like that's fine. I have two other people in mind that hopefully I'm gonna fight next, and then we'll see. We just got into the flyweight division. We don't gotta go in a rush. Like I said, I'm not gonna wait for the title. I gotta rack up some wins and make some money. Like, gotta go buy adult stuff.
How do you think Maya does against Shevchenko? It's a unique skill set she has.
Yeah, man, she's like she's like a little fridge, like a little bulldozer, and she's snappy and she's thick. She's pretty thick. I believe she's like the same height as me or something, yeah, she's bigger than me. And she's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, it just all depends. It's gonna be the speed. There's gonna be a huge speed advantage, I think, and that was the difference too with like Joanne and with Jennifer and Maia. I keep on calling Damien and Maya. I don't know why, just because Jennifer and Maya, but she was Joe was a lot slower, which was weird. Like it wasn't, and that's where I feel like I also had my advantage when I fought her too. Is like, and where I had my advantage as a flyweight, I feel like I am gonna be faster, but Valentina is fast and she hits hard. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that Jennifer could give her a good run for her money if she goes up and like tries to use her body weight to hold her up against the fence and maybe drag her down. Could be. But then somebody else who was like that was Pena, and I think Valentina, subbed her at bantamweight. So yeah, man, it's a tough one. I mean, everybody wants to go with Valentina. Nobody's giving anybody else a chance, but everybody's beatable. And who knows how Valentina does coming back from her injuries? Nobody knows what's going on. I think so anything can happen.
There's like a mystique around Valentina. It's kind of somewhat not to the level, but Anderson Silva, right? Everybody feels like she's gonna win every time, and then eventually something's gonna happen because this is fighting, and we're gonna be shocked. And maybe it's you. Maybe you're going to be the one to go in there and do that, right? That's the goal.
No, for sure. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, everybody wants to possess, their own, like, uniqueness as a fighter and stuff like that. I might not be the most technically sound fighter, but I find ways to win and not get beat up. You know what I mean? And that's just the way it goes. And until you find someone to beat me up and finish me, you can tell me otherwise. Until then, anything is possible, And so it's good to kind of have that, because it almost takes less pressure from you and it's more pressure on her, because she has to constantly, uphold that, versus anybody else who fights, unless you're weak-minded, you're gonna be like, they don't, No, it should be pressure off of you. Go there, train your ass off, and get the opportunity to go, take the head off who some people consider as a god, and then you make them bleed, and you're like, now you're the next best thing, So, yeah, no, anything can happen, and I truly believe in my skills, and like I said, I can fight through anything and still come up. I'll get through it, and I'll somehow still be there.
Yeah, it's that Mexican blood, you know what I mean? Like, you can't deny it, right?
I mean, for real though. I mean, we just don't back down. Like, we're still here, just the way it is. It's the way it is when I first started training. Like, I remember I would get beat up, and then like I would cry, and then like try to walk off the mats, and I'll sit there and like, just really collect myself, and then here I come, stop me back on the mats. It's just can't put me away, can't make me go home.
You mentioned you're gonna go to Vegas to deal with some injuries, get some rehab. Are you gonna meet with the UFC, talk to them about the next move? Do you have someone in mind? Because it seems like there's not many options for you moving up. You know what I mean? You got Chukagian, who's ranked higher. She's number one. And then you got Shevchenko. Are you looking at those options only, or do you feel like there's other fighters or other fights?
No, there's other fights for sure. Like I said, I'm not gonna wait for certain specific ones. I think that there's plenty of fights there. I'm looking at maybe Chikagian for sure, or Lauren Murphy, as my next potential opponent. I'm still open to anything. But as far as like going to Vegas, it's not so much for the matchmaking part. I mean, we're already in talks with Mick about figuring out what's gonna happen next. Right now is just figuring out when I'm gonna get clear as far as my injury. So I'm gonna go to Vegas. I'm gonna be there for about a month. I'm gonna leave next week, and just get in the best shape possible. Work with the best people at the USCPI, and then as soon as I get the green light, then we get the contract. And so right now, as soon as we'll find out about a week or two, we might have some fight news.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the PI has some wizards out there. They do some magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you should be fine in a couple of weeks. One last thing before I let you go, I just wanted to ask you about a matchup that's coming up, and it's interesting. Is Jessica Andrade, the former strawweight champion, she's gonna move up to flyweight, which makes I like it. I like this idea, right? And she's gonna most likely face off with Jessica Ai. Seems like Jessica Ai is the one that wants to fight all the girls moving up to 125.
Yeah,
What do you think? Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not. Yeah, but see, with this one in this situation, with like at least with Jessica, uh, even though she's gonna fight Jessica Andrade, which she has a strawweight coming up, Jessica Andrade just top five. She's top five. She was a champion at one time. So that would make more of a sense fight for Jessica to accept for someone coming up. Not so much mine, obviously, because I think she thought that it was just gonna be an easy win for COVID through COVID when she took the fight with me, or when I asked it, they're like, "What, main event against Cynthia?" Yeah, I'm just gonna walk through her. She doesn't even have a gym to train at. I've been training, so that's why I thought. But I feel like that's what she assumed. With Jessica, it makes more sense that she would do that, but. Yeah, I got a little bit surprised, but not surprised. I feel like that's a good move for Jessica. Her last, I think I seen her like last week. She did not look that great, and I think the whole COVID of having restrictive training makes a big difference. Like I feel like me during this time and having to deal with all these training restrictions, it'd be so much harder for me to make straw weight. Like if I could barely make it before when the world was normal and I was training, as many times as I wanted, and it's different now. It's way different. So I think it's a smart choice. It's exciting. I think the flyweight division is getting a lot juicier. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Jessica Andrade moving up, it does make it a lot juicier. Do you think that this is a dangerous fight for Jessica Ai?
Um, no, no, I don't. I think this is just gonna be another banger. Like these girls are just gonna go in there and just beat the crap out of each other. Jessica is a strong. Her jujitsu game, I don't see her subbing. Jessica. Jessica is short and stocky. She's a black belt. But Jessica in herself, she doesn't have great jujitsu because I feel she's got short limbs. I don't see her like really subbing any people. She's just tough as nails and likes to throw haymakers. And same thing with Jessica. There's obviously going to be a little bit of a height discrepancy, but I actually don't know who's going to win that. It could be another split, honestly, under Jessica, about whether she's the winner or the loser. It might be another split, and they're just going to beat the crap out of each other. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, I completely agree. I like this matchup. I think it's exciting because of the styles, you know what I mean, that they have, and most
They
likely
like
they're not going
beating.
to go to the ground.
Yeah, no, they're gonna beat each other up. They might hold
Mhm.
each other up against the fence, but I don't really see too much grappling going on. Just some black eyes, you know,
Yeah.
just bruised and a lot of inflammation.
Well, Cynthia, thank you so much for the time, and yeah, good luck on going to Vegas and getting everything situated and getting clear so you can fight, because I feel like the momentum is there, and you just need to ride that and get a good matchup, and it's gonna be fun to see you develop as a 125er. Like, who would have thought that we would be talking about this a year ago? I mean, I don't think anybody would have thought that you would have been fighting in this division.
No, I mean, that was originally the plan. I wanted to go be a flyweight fighter, as much as that was always the plan. But like I said initially, there is no flyweight division, only strawweight division, and I had a set goal. I said I'm gonna take over this division, and as soon as they open the flyweight division, I'm gonna move on up, And so, unfortunately, I had already my mishaps with the weight class that said, nope, you got to move up. So now we're here. It doesn't mean I won't go down for a strawweight fight if, time's right. I can still make it happen. I can become the flyweight division champ. And then, if the time is right and we can make a super fight and, I can double champ, move down to strawweight and challenge the champ there. So the possibilities are endless.
Hey guys, Sasha Platnikoff here, letting you know to tune in to SCMP Post Fight for all your weekly martial arts news.